Alright, I'm going to do a quick one for you today. I already tried recording a video. I didn't like the way it went, but I think part of this problem is due to the malefic nature of the transit in question. I have already done a couple videos on this already, so it may not be necessary to go into too much detail. What we're dealing with is Jupiter in Gemini, which is obviously already in not very great dignity, seeing as this is a opposite of its domicile in Sagittarius. It's the opposite sign, so it's in the territory that's antagonistic to its nature, in a conjunction with Mars, a malefic, in a square to Saturn, the other malefic. And this is all pretty tight. It's all conjoining right now. 14 degrees Mars in Gemini, 16 degrees Jupiter in Gemini, Saturn at 17 degrees Pisces. If we use the tarot card associations, Gemini, the second decan, is the Nine of Swords. So it's not a great, it's obviously a negative tarot card. This is the Mars decan of Gemini. Bad vibes. There's also Saturn is at the 9 decan of Pisces, which is a Jupiter decan, which is more benefic. So here it's interesting because this is kind of a Jupiter influence, which you can see is combining and mixing with the Gemini influence, making Gemini maybe feel a little bit more like this. For example, there's been a recent development in the war of Ukraine. Ukraine has now invaded Russia, and there's a certain swing in the other direction. And I would imagine that if you're Ukraine or the supporters of Ukraine, you may feel a little bit smug. There's a certain this Jupiter quality of the turning. There's some sort of like having help or something like that. Maybe I don't know if it's fair or not, but there's a there's something going on with Jupiter in Gemini, but with Mars it's kind of violent. And there's a certain, also this whole thing, the contests of politics and all this, which I'm staying out of, right? But there's this idea of winners and losers and the stress, and certain famous people may have Gemini placements. I won't go into that now in this video, but you've got Jupiter and Mars and Gemini squaring Saturn and Pisces, making Pisces, actually this is the thing, is Pisces may feel like more like this, and Gemini may feel like more like this with Jupiter and Gemini. But these are still, the two forces are getting intermixed and conflicting against each other here. There is a Jupiter problem. I mean, it makes it better, but it also makes for more volatile, loud, explosive. There's a building in Vancouver that went up in flames and a huge crane fell over. It's like, I have not been. I live in the suburbs. I haven't been to the city since COVID. I have my own problems. I've been recovering from some health things. Live with my family. I don't want to get into all my medical issues in a public video, but there's something about the general stress of urban life and the healing power of refreshing country bog air. Because the bog is a filtration system for that filters forest fire smoke and the cool ocean breeze. It's kind of like it to help a person have a certain kind of equilibrium, whereas the urban environment is a concrete jungle and a place of chaos and disorder, with buildings like low-income housing built to be fire traps going up in flames, with cranes falling, crushing. It's basically like, I don't want to give into the doom scroll, but it doesn't look good. But we do have an abundance of luxury condos because the Chinese buyers or the foreign investments is not there to meet the market demand of luxury condos. We have a lot of luxury condos, but our low-income housing is going up in flames, basically. And this is not always due to people smoking cigarettes in bed. Although, not in this case anyways. But I'm making it short and sweet with this one because what we're dealing with here is a malefic aspect. It's not pretty business. I'm just glad that I don't live in a war zone. it's Mercury retrograde. So what happens when Mercury goes direct? Was Ukraine still going to have territory in Russia? Is the what's going to be going on with the housing market? The mercantile associations of Gemini doing the stock market is apparently not doing well right now. It's not very good time. I'm sorry. So I'm just trying to keep it short and sweet. But we're in a malefically oriented astrology time where it's just bad vibes, and I'm thinking it's better to take the way of the hermit, the way of spiritual quietude, rather than getting involved in political conflicts and disagreements. And so the way of the contemplative, the way of the artist, the path of political non-involvement and spiritual contemplation is making a lot of sense right now. It's just the easier, and also if you're going to, there might be things that if these things are going to go wrong, might as well be that your like avocado has turned off rather than your house going up on fire. But then that's only the privilege of having access to land and housing, and all the not being in a war zone, not being in the middle of a riot. I mean, things are pretty good. But so I'm not going to go into any super detailed analysis, but just sort of acknowledging the malefic energy at this time, and to take it easy, right? Okay.